And now, cutting through your typical media nonsense and offering you a rational and unbiased perspective on current events and life in Tampa Bay. He's a successful entrepreneur, published author, top listing agent, a real estate and finance expert that goes to bat for you every day as a consumer advocate. Your host and the consumer quarterback, Brandon Rimes.
All right, welcome to the show. We got some headlines to talk about. We got Mark Haye in studio talking about proper estate planning. It should be part of the financial planning. And in the news as well, Tampa Bay Times, he spent $14 million on Tampa's most expensive homes. One of Tampa's most expensive homes. Now he's suing. Find out what happened here in South Tampa. Local agent is going to be named in that suit as well. We have an updated graphic on in-migration, New York to Florida, and how do you think that Mondami election will affect that? We've got the numbers here kind of showing where that might go. Also, Florida Doge, over $1 billion now. If you've listened to our show, you've heard us talking about the waste, fraud, and abuse. Also hitting the sheriff's department here in Hillsborough County. I mean, wow, it's interesting to see. There's a lot being uncovered here. Also, shout out for Charlie Kirk's. Would have been his 32nd birthday this week. Unbelievable that it's been a month now, and what a young age, man. Gosh, too young. He was taken too young from us. But so we got a great lineup for you today here on the show. Mark Haye always bringing some great knowledge when it comes to the financial advising and financial updates. Mark, give us a little teaser of what you're going to talk about today.
Yeah, so we always talk about acquiring assets and then protecting assets, and then what happens when you pass and what happens to the assets and how do you protect them. So we're going to be talking about financial planning and estate planning. Yeah,
I like that. It's good stuff. Let's do that, and we'll talk about we have Fred Muth coming in as well. Fred Muth, Tampa Screens and Aluminum, as well as Doug Clark, Hours Creole, are going to be on the program today as well. All right, new listing here, Weeki Wachee Marina. Got a beautiful listing up there. Weeki Wachee Marina, 7154 Shoreline Boulevard. Up in Weeki Wachee, this is a great opportunity, man. You've got a marina for sale, your waterfront, 3 lots on the waterfront, 0.71 acres, almost 3/4 of an acre there. Well-established waterfront business with irreplaceable real estate on the Weeki Wachee River. Direct access to the river there. This is a multi-use property. Multiple income streams coming in. You got John boat rentals, kayak, paddleboard rentals, dock space for commercial vessels. You also have a spacious retail building offering fishing and boating supplies, on-site ice machine that's generating income, and also a mechanic shop in the back as well for all those repairs. If you ever owned a boat, you know how there's repairs that are going to be needed. Weeki Wachee Marina, this is a milestone listing here. Beautiful property, just over $3 million. Hernando Beach. Your minutes to Hernando Beach and the Gulf of America. 7154 Shoreline Boulevard, Weeki Wachee. We sell businesses, we sell land, we sell residential, we sell commercial. We'd love to talk to you. My wife Lindsay and I own the Platinum MVP team at Keller Williams Realty, and we help our sellers by maximizing the profit on the sale of their real estate listings, maximizing the exposure and the profit on the sale of their real estate by featuring all of the listings live on air on our daily talk show. And we got a hot listing here at 9914 Ala Vista Drive, Gibsonton, Florida. Ala Vista Drive, waterfront property, 3-bedroom, 3-bath, 1922 square feet, elevated, stilt home. It's at the end of a quiet street, large waterfront lot, nestled at the canal there on the Alafaya River. Direct access to the Gulf as well. Spacious kitchen. You got stainless steel roof there. Beautiful roof there. That's about a 50-year galvanized standing steam metal roof. Hurricane shutters, professional landscaping. Beautiful property. What a nice, that waterfront type of home here. That Florida lifestyle. Bring your boat, bring your jet skis. You got a private boat dock there as well. 9914 Ala Vista Drive, Gibsonton, Florida. Great opportunity to buy real estate right here in beautiful Tampa Bay, one of the hottest real estate markets in the country. And you can see all of our listings online at platinummvpteam.kw.com. And you can also check out all of our radio show partners and previous shows at consumerqb.com.
And yeah, I'm raising my glass to those saving our ass overseas.
That's right. Shout out to all of our veterans out there, as always. Mark Haye back in studio. I love the idea today because, as we go through life, we build up assets. We're growing our wealth. We're working so hard to continue to contribute to our retirement plans, and we're being smart about certain things. We're trying to do things in a certain order. But proper estate planning If you don't have that in place, you could be throwing everything away at some point.
Yeah, you got it. So, last time we were here, we were talking about what happened to Charlie Kirk, and then I was going to lead into estate planning because obviously he left behind a very large estate, and hopefully he had everything kind of buttoned up.
Yeah.
And then we didn't quite get to it, and today being his birthday, I guess it just kind of worked out perfectly. Now we'll talk about it.
Yeah, exactly.
But I agree with you. What a sad situation that at 32 now that he's not here anymore, and I just think that he was such a genius as far as articulating his knowledge, and it's really hard to do that. It's really hard to be that intelligent and then connect with the normal person.
Right.
And that's just such a gift. So it is a shame, and so happy birthday to him. But
yeah.
So I'm not an estate plan attorney, but I have estate plan attorneys on staff, and then we work with estate plan attorneys to get estate plans done. And so if your financial advisor is not talking to you about estate plan and wills and trust and different ILETs that you can do to avoid taxation, estate tax, et cetera, you probably should have someone else look at it because it's so vital and so important. So, we acquire and accumulate and build all these assets, and then what happens on your demise? Majority of people don't even have a basic will done,
right,
let alone a trust or estate plan. If you have a special needs child, like I have a nephew that's special needs, and so, we set up a special needs trust for him. The reason we do that is because all the assets that would go to him would stay out of the estate, and it's out of his estate, and then he's still allowed to get the government benefits. Because people don't realize if you have a special need kid, they're only allowed to have $2,000 in their name. If they have more than $2,000, they lose government assistance, whether it's Medicare, Social Security, et cetera. But if you have a special needs trust, where on your demise the assets go into there for the care of that child, he can still get the government, or she can still get government assistance and keep all the assets that you wanted to give him. And so it's very vital that if something like that's in your family and you do have a child that's a special need that's going to be needing assistance, you should have an estate plan done. Now, everybody should have one done, and when I say estate plan, a basic will, and what all that does is just tell people that if I die, I want these assets going here. I want my kids to have that. If my health care surrogate, meaning if I become incapacitated, who's pulling the plug?
Yep.
Who's making that decision? Who's writing checks? Let's use COVID. People were in COVID 4 years ago, 5 years ago, in the hospital, and they're unconscious. Who's writing checks? Who's paying bills? Who's talking to creditors? And if you don't have that written down, no one can do that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so, just basic stuff like that. But I'll meet with a couple, and let's say they're our age, in their 40s with 2 minor kids, and I'll ask them, if the truck hit you guys tonight,
right,
mom and dad are dead, what happens next? And no one really knows. Well, my parents would take care of. Well, I want my mom to take it. And they have ideas.
Yeah.
They have ideas, but I tell them, here's what will happen. Okay, the court is going to decide. And so what they do is your entire estate becomes now part of the court, and it's going to go through probate. And everybody in your family is going to get a letter, whether it's a crazy uncle, a cousin, a brother, a sister, doesn't matter. They're all going to get a letter saying Mr. and Mrs. Smith has unfortunately passed. Here's all their assets. They had life insurance, they had car, a real estate, they had a 401k, they got 2 minor kids. And then anybody in that family that sees that letter can say, no, that was for me, or that was my asset, or I was going to take care of little Jimmy. And they're going to fight over that. And then when they fight over that, then they have to hire attorneys, and then they start spending the estate because the estate's going to pay for that, or they're going to pay out of pocket. And then the government decides where those kids go.
Yep.
So if you have a brother and sister, let's say 8 and 6, that are your son and daughter, they could separate them and say, you're going to go to that foster home in St. Pete. You're going to go to that foster home in Clearwater until we get this straightened out. And that could be year, 2 years, 3 years, until they figure out that, hey, the mom or the grandma was going to take these kids, and so we're going to now do that. It got court approved. But moving anything through a court takes forever, let alone a probate situation where they got to decide the guardians of kids and who's getting the life insurance and who, and so a basic will that would cost a few $100s would help just circumvent all that.
Yeah.
Let alone where we could put the assets. But the kids would be the most important.
You got to do it.
Yeah, you got to do it. And I always say, if you're a man, and you're a husband with kids, and you don't have life insurance and you don't have a basic will done, I don't have much respect.
Yeah.
It's hard. It's hard for me to look at you. Meanwhile, you got insurance on your iPhone, on your car, on your flat screen TV, on your home, but you can't do it on yourself.
Yep.
And you can't make sure that I have the proper documentation that something should happen. My kids and my wife are going to be taken care of.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, that's hard for me.
Yeah.
And I meet with these people all the time.
It's
go
biblical,
through
you know.
that.
It's you're the man of the household for a reason, right? You have to make these decisions. You have to make the tough decisions and do those types of things. So you got to get an estate plan. You got to have that planning in place. Now, Mark will do a review for you as well. Mark Haye in studio with us. I'm your host, Brandon Rimes, and when we talk about getting a review, you know, he's willing to review the estate plans. He's willing to take a look at of course, the financial side of things, what's going on financially. And and Charlie Kirk would talk a lot about that. You know, he'd talk a lot about, you know, being, I saw, you know, a couple of interviews recently too, coming up on his, you know, the birthday week here in 1 month where he was mentioning that, you know, the young kid comes up and says, hey, what can I do to be successful or to, you know, how should I live? He says, well, you know, what I did is I looked at where was I investing my time?
Yeah.
You know, so some people invest their time in fantasy football picks or they're, you know, planning a vacation or these things that don't really matter. Even as young athletes, you know, we put so much time into being a great baseball player. You know, I played football all these years. But really, if you look at what he did, he studied the principles, the time-told principles of Socrates, Aristotle, and you know, the founding of our country. And that those are the things that really matter. If you can invest in yourself at a young age, not only financially, but education-wise, it's going to pay off exponentially.
And you know what other book he read all the time? And anybody that reads this book and knows it and understands it and studies it is very intelligent, is the Bible.
Yes.
And he knew the Bible better than any 30-year-old I think I've ever met in my life.
Absolutely.
And he knew Quran. He knew verses. He could do verbatim. And I'm just telling you, anybody that I've ever met that understands the Bible that well is always really intelligent.
Yes.
You know, because the Bible does give you a lot of wisdom. Proverbs, you know, Solomon wrote Ecclesiastes. And so there's so much knowledge in there. So I agree with you. And then going back to Charlie Kirk, what if Charlie Kirk was assassinated and his wife that day?
Right.
And he didn't have a basic will done. He has a $100 million business, plus the real estate, plus all his employees. What happens now? That business is dismantled because the government's going to figure out, okay, what do you want to do with it? And by the time they figure it out, it'll be done.
Yeah, absolutely. And Charlie's one of his main messages, too, he was talking about what he wanted to be remembered for when he passed. It was his courage for his faith. And if you look around the globe, it may be a little bit easier for us here in America, even though we are under target. We're getting shot at churches and things of that nature. But, you know, other countries, there's genocide going on against Christians, and the media won't pick it up in certain places. But, you know, Charlie loved Jesus and he loved the gospel, and he talked about it over and over. And he says he would end a lot of his talks with this. He would say, 4 words, Jesus took my place. And then the gospel in 3 words, him for me. Gospel in 2 words, substitutionary atonement. And then 1 word is grace. You know, because if we give what we deserve, some people would call that justice. And no, Christ died on the cross so we could have his grace and live eternally. So I think that's one of the biggest messages.
Very nice. Very, very well said, man.
Yeah.
For real. Very well said. But yeah, so my point is they had a very special business. So let's say both of them were shot and there's no estate plan. That $100 million a year business is now dissolved because the government's going to come in and decide who did it. By the time they figure out who's going to take over, there's no business left. You know, so it's very, very important to have these basic documents because you just never know. When I woke up that morning, I had no idea Charlie Kirk was going to be shot and killed that day. It didn't even come to my mind.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Never thought of it. So it's very important. And I'll give an idea, too. I think we got to take a break here pretty soon. But I'll give you a couple of examples of not having a basic estate plan done and what happens to all these assets that you acquired.
Yeah. Okay,
you know?
Yeah, let's do that on the flip side. By the way, Turning Point USA looking at an all-American halftime show, a counter programming because Bad Bunny is, you know, there's so many things. There's cross-dressing. He speaks in Spanish. He sings in Spanish. He goes on SNL and tells us to learn Spanish. No, buddy, you're in America. You learn our language or speak in our language. So anyways, that's the NFL and Goodell and Jay-Z, some guy that made a bunch of money by rapping nasty lyrics and, you know, being a pop culture icon. No, we don't like that. We don't care for that. We're going to switch it over on the halftime show, and we're going to go to Turning Point USA's All-American halftime show. And more coming up with Mark Haye, 21st Century Financial here. Proper estate planning should be part of the financial planning process as well. More with Mark Haye. He's going to give examples of what happens if you fail to do that. Also coming up, Florida Doge, over $1 billion now of waste, fraud, and abuse. And a local story, a local buyer spent $14 million on one of Tampa's most expensive homes. Now he's suing the realtor. He's suing everybody involved. Find out about that here on the Consumer Quarterback Show, consumerqb.com.
Thanks for listening to my daddy's show. Please make sure to send him all of your real estate deals and subscribe to the Consumer Quarterback Show podcast on iTunes and Spotify, or check out our YouTube channel. Have a blessed day.
To get in touch with Brandon, call 813-917-1894. Online at consumerqb.com.
Did you know that we buy houses cash? We can close quickly for a all-cash offer on your real estate properties, residential, commercial, even vacant land. We'll buy your property cash. No cleaning, no showings, and no hassles. You can even possibly stay in your home post-closing. Call Brandon at 813-917-1894. Submit the email at consumerqb.com or call 813-917-1894. consumerqb.com. We buy houses cash and fast. Attention business owners, did you know we have 100% financing options available? Our no money down program offers 100% financing for business owners. If you are currently leasing your commercial space, you can purchase real estate for no money down. Additionally, the program offers money for working capital, equipment, and business fixtures. You can even pay off current business debt. Reach out at 813-917-1894. Call or text 813-917-1894. Rimes at kw.com. And that is our 100% financing, no money down program for business owners. We would love to help you buying, selling, or investing in real estate. 813-917-1894. Rimes at kw.com. Ours Creole Smokehouse, the official Pinellas County restaurant partner of the Consumer Quarterback Show. Say hello to Doug Clark, chef and owner Doug Clark, 310 East Tarpon Avenue, Tarpon Springs, ourscreole.com. Ours Creole Smokehouse, 310 East Tarpon Avenue, Tarpon Springs, ourscreole.com. Excellent food, wonderful ambiance. Say hello to our friend Doug Clark. If you're facing an insurance claim, don't just trust the insurance company to have your best interests at heart. This is Brandon Rimes, Consumer Quarterback Show. Reach out to rightwaypa.com, our friend Derek Coble at rightwaypa.com. Looking to level up your sales game? With 20 plus years of coaching experience spanning across several industries, Lindsay Rimes helps everyone from entry-level reps to seasoned business owners boost sales, improve work-life balance, and retain top talent with customized options catered to personal, group, or corporate settings. Brandon and Lindsay Rimes offer training on negotiation strategy, business development, and more. Let's grow your business together. Call 813-917-1894. That's 813-917-1894. Submit an email at consumerqb.com.
You're listening to the Consumer Quarterback, Brandon Rimes, cutting through your typical media nonsense and offering you a rational and unbiased perspective on current events and life in Tampa Bay. Online at consumerqb.com.
All right, welcome back. Brandon Rimes here in studio with Mark Haye, 21st Century Financial, talking about proper estate planning. Should be part of every financial plan. Also, Florida Doge over $1 billion now of recognized waste, fraud, and abuse that they found in only 6 counties throughout the state of Florida. And also, you got a buyer that spent $14 million on Tampa Bay's, one of Tampa's most expensive homes right here in South Tampa. It's on Neptune. And now he's suing the realtor. He's suing everybody involved. So interesting stories coming up here on the program. More with Mark Haye coming up in just a moment. We always like to feature our listings, and we've got a bar for sale here at 5402 West US Highway 92. This one's out in Plant City. This is the Finish Line Saloon, the cash cow. The owner says they're bringing in about $12,000 a week on cash coming into this bar. 16 square feet, a third of an acre lot. You got a commercial zoning, you got that coveted COP license, and it's right there close to Thonotosassa, Plant City. All the permits, all the licensing comes along with it. 5402 West US Highway 92. We got a bar for sale. Great opportunity to buy real estate right here in beautiful Tampa Bay. All right, let's take a look at 13229 Interlaken Road in Odessa, Florida. We love Odessa. What a great area, kind of horse country there in that northern Tampa Bay area here. Odessa, over a half-acre land. It's a R1 MH zoning. build your dream home or maybe invest in that area. You have 24 by 30 metal storage building already on site. It's included, of course, with the sales price. Direct access to Interlaken Road, close to top-rated schools, 5 minutes from Hillsborough County line, 15 minutes from Pinellas. Great opportunity to buy real estate. You can see all of our listings at platinummvpteam.kw.com. And check out all of our radio show expert contributors at consumerqb.com.
Only in America, dreaming in red, white, and blue.
All right, Mark Haye back in studio with us. Mark, we always talk about, I want to make sure we get a review, make sure we get that review done, and then you had some examples.
Yeah, so let me give you one example since we're going to be running out of time. Let's say, and I just do this all the time with clients, $1 million IRA, and that's their asset. That's their main asset, right, that they want to leave to their kids. And they have 3 kids. And I always ask them, okay, who's your number one beneficiary? I want my kids, equally, third. Well, who's going to get the most money? I want my kids, third. No, the government is the number one beneficiary. Okay. Because out of that $1 million, the government's going to get 40% on your demise. That's the highest tax bracket because they're going to have to liquidate this thing. So they get $400,000. So the 2 kids or 3 kids now get $200,000 each. Okay, the government got double.
Wow.
What each kid got that you want to leave.
Yeah.
Okay. So then I say to them, and then you're paying 1 to 1.5% fee on this $1 million to Fidelity or whoever. That's $10,000 a year, $15,000 a year, just in a fee. What if we could eliminate that fee, take that $10,000 a year, put it inside a $1 million life insurance policy? You leave the life insurance to the kids tax free, so they inherit $1 million tax free. So now they each get $350,000, and then you take that IRA and give it to your church or a museum, whoever you want, and they get it tax free. And now your whole estate is tax free, and the government got nothing. It went from $400,000 to zero.
Yeah.
The kids got more money. You got to leave money to the church, to a museum, to a school. You could be generous, and all of a sudden now your name's on a plaque sitting in front of the university or on a chair in downtown St. Pete saying, this is donated by Brandon Rimes.
Yeah.
And all you did was take advantage of the tax code and
Right.
estate planning and left a taxable account that would be for a human,
Yep.
give it to a charity, and they get it tax-free, and leave the life insurance to the kids, and everybody wins.
Man, you got
Why do you want to give it to the government?
take
Why?
advantage of the tax code. Take advantage of the tax code. One of the best election debate in history was when Trump called out Clinton and
100%.
said, hey, all your friends are doing it. That's what I'm doing. I'm doing the same thing
Yeah.
they're doing. I'm taking advantage of the tax code.
Exactly. And doing the basic plan like we just talked about, where you have a basic will done, you have your beneficiaries done, and you understand how money's passed.
Yep.
That right there, that strategy right there, just the simple thing of that $1 million IRA, $1 million life insurance. We're going to use the fees that we're paying to Fidelity to pay the premium. We're going to leave the $1 million tax free to the kids. We're going to take the $1 million IRA, give it to a charity. That one little thing just made $400,000 less to the government.
Yes.
And you just created a $2 million tax free estate.
Yes.
It cost you nothing.
That's
You
right.
were already paying $10,000 in fees.
Yeah.
We just allocate it to a premium to leave to the kids.
I love it.
You know what I mean? Like, just little things like that make such a huge difference on the overall, like, generational wealth, not to mention
That's right.
how you can leave a generational wealth and have a trust. Everybody's got life insurance. Life insurance goes into the trust. We could get all into it, but just so simple, the amount of money that you could pass. And honestly, the world's a better place if the government gets a lot less, and churches and schools and charities and your kids get more. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? Like, I don't know. It just feels better to me.
There's an awakening happening in the
And like
country,
you
too.
just said, like Doge, $1 billion just in the state of Florida.
Yes.
If you did that for 50 states, which it'll be more in New York, if you did, that's
Yeah.
$50 billion a year.
And that's only 6
That's
counties.
we're wasting.
Yeah, that's only 6 counties so far. We got
Oh, that's
another 61 to
insane.
go. All right, Mark Haye, reach out, 813-917-1894. Call the hotline. We'd love to put you in contact with Mark Haye, longtime friend of the Consumer Quarterback Show. He's a financial expert, estate planning, financial planning. We're going to help you there. 813-917-1894, consumerqb.com. Mark, thanks for coming in.
Thank
man.
you, sir.
Yeah, man. All right, coming up, we got Fred Muth, and we're also going to talk about these Tampa Screens and Aluminum, Doug Clark later on, but Florida Doge, I'm going to hit on that story, and the $14 million home that was purchased in Tampa that the buyer is now suing the realtor, suing the owner. He's suing everybody involved. Consumer Quarterback Show, consumerqb.com.
This is Work Done, and you're listening to the Real Estate Quarterback Show hosted by my man, Brandon Rimes.
To get in touch with Brandon, call 813-917-1894. Online at consumerqb.com. You're listening to the Consumer Quarterback, Brandon Rimes. Online at consumerqb.com. Brandon is Tampa Bay's #1 consumer advocate for real estate and financial advice. Call Brandon today at 813-917-1894.
You know, Fred Muth joining us here, longtime friend of the show, does a great job out there. Tampa Screens and Aluminum. Anybody looking to build a screen room, patio, lanai, pool cage, Fred Muth is the go-to guy here in Tampa Bay. Coming up next, we're going to talk with him. Later on as well, we got Doug Clark, Hours Creole, excellent restaurant, Tarpon Springs, wonderful food, great ambiance, got that New Orleans flavor out there, really good food. $1 billion now, Florida Doge recognized over $1 billion. That's just 6 counties. That's only 6 counties now that they've found. So we'll talk about that story. Plus, you got a $14 million sale that has gone through in Tampa on Neptune. And now the buyer is upset. He's suing the realtor. He's suing, I imagine he's suing everybody involved in that transaction, the seller. And so kind of interesting story out of the Tampa Bay Times. We'll touch on that here coming up as well. A couple of hot listings, and we'll jump right into it. Talking with Fred Muth here coming up. 3222 Jackson Drive in Holiday, Florida. Got a beautiful listing here. Brand new listing from the Platinum MVP team at Keller Williams Realty. This one is a 26 square feet, beautifully furnished and remodeled home here. Great opportunity. You're on Lake Nash and Lake Conley, so you've got direct access to 2 lakes there. Spacious kitchen, generously sized bedrooms, updated roof, gutter system as well, new flooring, no HOA or CDD fees, and you're 19 minutes away from US 19. Great opportunity to buy real estate close to the beaches as well. 3222 Jackson Drive, Holiday, Florida. Affordable home. Nice curb appeal as well. Like that one. 1905 Horseshoe Drive, Plant City, Florida. Plant City, you got a 322 here. It's 2298 square feet, 0.20 acre lot, quiet cul-de-sac, peaceful adjacent lake views in Walden Lakes, the paddocks, tree-lined streets, scenic lakes, and tranquil atmosphere. Inviting in-ground pool, beautiful pool, screened in there, lanai, great looking neighborhood there. I love the lighter colors there. Nice curb appeal, beautiful oak tree in the front yard. I just love the oak trees. You know, I love to have those trees around the homes. Wood burning fireplace, accented built-in shelving, split floor plan, and Walden Lake offers trails, dog park, fields, playgrounds, and the HOA is only $73 a month. That's a low HOA fee. Check out 1905 Horseshoe Drive, Plant City, Florida. You can see all of our listings at platinummvpteam.kw.com. And you can see all of our real estate partners, previous shows, and links to our expert contributors at consumerqb.com.
She ain't prejudice, he's just made in America.
All right, we got Fred Muth on the line. Fred Muth, Tampa Screens and Aluminum. Welcome back, sir.
Hello, Brandon. Hello, crew over there. I haven't been in a while. I got to get back in the studio. I had an appointment today at 2 o'clock, so I had to do it from the home here. But that's okay. I'll get back in. I'll be back.
And we'll see you at the holiday party coming up soon. We'll have more information on that. Going to be back over at the location there in Dunedin, Crown and Bull. Going to be a great location.
Oh, that's a beautiful place. And tell Doug Clark hello. And Doug Clark has a very nice establishment out there in Tarpon Springs.
He does.
We've been there
food.
a couple of times. The food, the service, just everything's good.
Super
and I
good.
say that because I mean it. Believe me.
Yeah.
So, with weather like we have, with the weather we have, it reinforces my great decision many years ago to move to Florida. I'm enjoying this weather. How about yourself?
Yeah, man, I love this break in the humidity every year. It comes around mid-October, and man, it just makes you really happy these next 3 or 4 months living in Florida. Enjoy that Florida lifestyle. A lot of people migrating to Florida, but I'll talk about that here in a moment. But tell us a little bit more about your company. I want to hear a little bit more what's new on your side.
Really not much more than the last couple times we spoke. The big item in today's world is, taking down the old cage that has the uprights and the chair rails and replacing that with either the open view on the rear end or the pano view, which would be all sides. It's a lot more expensive, but, it's a beautiful look. And they use a different fabric, different screen fabric that can withstand the expansion and the contraction of the large open panels. I've sold probably 40 or 50 of them in the past couple of years, and everybody that has them, it just really enhances the entire rear yard. If you have a nice backdrop looking out, a lake, a pond, a golf course. It's a beautiful idea to make that more open in the backside. I don't like to go and, openings any more than about 25 or 30 feet. I'm just not comfortable with that. It can be done, but I try to limit them up to about 25 or 30 foot openings, and just to give an open view in the back. And people sit on their on their lanais and inside their enclosures, enjoying the in-between space. You remember that term, don't you?
I love it, man. I love it. Speaking of that, you got to make sure you get your permitting done. You got to make sure you properly have those permits in place, close out the permits. Why is it that so many contractors, Fred, and of course not your company, but so many contractors, you find them, they go in, they do work, and they don't pull permits. They just want to skip that part of the process, and then it shows up later on. So you have, for example, this Tampa Bay Times article. He spent $14 million on one of Tampa's most expensive homes. Now he's suing. So the buyer of 5224 West Neptune Way said the previous owner, and then, so I read the article, said the owner didn't, pull certain permits, have it all permitted properly. And you've got one of the Tampa Bay area's largest, or most productive real estate agents being sued as well. So that's what they do. They put everybody in the lawsuit, name everybody in the lawsuit, and then kind of sort it out later. But that's back to the question of, when it comes to permitting, you can't skip that step, right?
You cannot skip that step. And I go through it. I've been doing this almost 34 years, and I see it every day. And I know a guy like you in the real estate business, it holds up the closing. If that screen cage is there, went in without a permit, either it's got to be permitted, which is after the fact is difficult, or it's got to come down. And I go out on job sites now where the cage came down. And they said, I don't know why. We just bought the home. The cage is gone. I don't know why. I said, I know why, because it went in without a permit, 9 chances out of 10.
Yep.
Please let me see the survey. And I look at the survey, and they built the original cage right up to the setback. So it was illegal to start with.
Wow.
And that goes on all the time. So it's, it's the old, remember the cliche, wham, bam, thank you, ma'am, give me the money, I got to go. That's what these contractors do when they go without permits. The permit process is a drawn-out process, and in some cases, I'm not real happy with it either. But I play by the rules. I have homeowners that just argue with me about the notice of commencement forms that have to be notarized and signed and returned. They say the other guy wasn't going to do that. The other guy wasn't going to do that. I go, ma'am, the other guy was doing something illegal. I said, you'll never get your final inspection without that NOC form. Oh, he said it would. I said, well, he's wrong. I said, I'll put it in writing and let him put it in writing, and let's take it somewhere and let's see who's right and who's wrong.
Yeah, and
they end up following me anyway.
NOC, notice of commencement.
Yeah.
Yep. So if you just joined us,
it's an important form to have, and I believe the legality on it is any job valued over $2,500. That's what it was. In other words, if it's an $1,800 job, it's not required. $2,500 plus, it is required, and you won't get your final inspection, and that's the thing. The job's done. The guy may have pulled a permit, XYZ contracting. Let's just pull up a fictitious name. Everything's done except for the NOC. He gets his money. The homeowner thinks everything's good, but there's no final inspection, and the permit's never cleared out because the NOC form had not been filed. So, they go to sell a home or something. It's a problem, and you run into that as a realtor. Yeah. I did some real estate work in the past, and I know I run into jobs or into properties. You can't close them. You can't close them out because there's illegal stuff on that lot, and it's no good. But everybody should play by the rules. It's not that difficult. Yep. It takes a little longer. Maybe you won't get your money as quick. Like a real quick moving contractor wants to be in and out, get his money, move on to the next job. And I understand that, but if you can do that and do it legally, God bless you. If you're going to do it and put somebody in jeopardy, you're really doing a bad thing.
Yeah, absolutely. You're listening to the Consumer Quarterback Show. I'm your host, Brandon Rimes, and we're talking with Fred Muth, Tampa Screens Aluminum, longtime friend of the show. Build your pool cages, build your lanai, your screen rooms with Tampa Screens Aluminum. They do an absolute great job. We've heard nothing but great 100% feedback from them and all of our team, all of our listening audience that's worked with them over the years. Now, Fred, Charlie Kirk birthday today and this week, and
yes, sir.
One of his clips here, I came across this one. It's right up our alley in terms of you think about affordability. Another issue facing Tampa Bay is affordability. Well, you have so many New Yorkers moving down. This is a website that I came across. Stephen Moore, he's the economist. But basically, I'm holding this up for the TV show side if you're watching our stream on YouTube or Rumble. So you put in the first state and then you put into the second state, and it says, okay, New York to Florida. Over a 10-year period, New York to Florida had 383,738 net migration into Florida from New York. Now, what does that mean in dollars? What about personal income? $37 billion in personal income that's moved to Florida. But my point is the affordability factor, insurances, taxes are going away. Hopefully in Florida we can vote ourselves out of paying property taxes. And if you're on the wrong side of that issue, I'd love to talk to you about it. Have a respectful debate and conversation. But here's one of Charlie Kirk's latest clips, one of his last clips on single-family housing.
What policy do you support to make it easier for young people to buy homes?
Get rid of BlackRock purchasing a bunch of homes and renting them back to us.
Okay, so like seize their assets?
Not seize their assets. Make it illegal that asset managers over $500 billion can't buy single-family homes.
Yeah, there you go. So, the single-family homes being bought by these large funds, that's a problem, right, Fred?
Absolutely, 100%. And you talk about, for example, New Yorkers. I deal with a lot of New Yorkers, and I say, come on, New Yorkers, welcome. Come on, I did it. I'm from Philly. I get out of Philly, I come down here. The lifestyle is better, the taxes are lighter. Even though, people still complain about the taxes here, compared to New York,
right?
Oh my gosh. Your income, I think you're hit four ways on your income. And if you're making $100,000 a year in the city, in New York City, that's almost poverty level. You can't do much more with it. There's nothing left over. You make $100,000 down here, you're doing all right. It's a comfortable lifestyle. They sell their cookie cutter up there for $1.2 million. That's an old property. They come down here, they buy 3,000 square feet on a third of an acre for $620,000. They're in heaven.
Right.
And I say it all the time. And, the majority of them that I know, for whatever reason, they're coming down here. They're moving to Pasco County from New York, Philly, Jersey. And Pasco is still wide open up there. You still get a lot of space. There's a lot of good infrastructure up there. And I'm up there maybe twice a week, bidding jobs from Northerners that just moved in. Yeah. What I like is they come in and they say, hey, I want a lanai. And I'll go, okay, now do you know what a lanai is? We really don't, but we want one.
Yeah, we're not sure, but we want one.
Lanai, yeah, a lanai can be a combination of things, but and then it's my job to look at the home and come up with. So I see the back of the home and I can see the finished product. It's my job to get it from my head into their head so that we can make a deal. And that's the enjoyment of what I do.
Yeah, I love it. Fred Muth, Tampa Screens and Aluminum, longtime friend of the show. Support him, support the show, support the local economy by supporting the Consumer Quarterback Show and all of our expert contributors. We greatly appreciate everybody that does that. 80 categories, all types of great business owners, account executives associated with the Consumer Quarterback Show, real estate, credit, finance, estate planning, white collar, blue collar, all different types of companies, all with that same kind of a worldview, and we all want to help the local Tampa Bay market. 813-917-1894. You can call our hotline if you want to get in touch with Fred Muth or any of our expert contributors. 813-917-1894. ConsumerQB.com. And Fred, maybe next time we got to do the Fred and Fred show in studio. Let's line it up.
Yeah, let's line it up for sure. That's always a lot of fun.
Yeah, man. All right, buddy.
Okay.
Well, have a wonderful day, and thank you so much for the update.
Thank you, and I'll see you soon. Bye-bye.
Yes, sir. All right. Yeah, that's Fred Muth, Tampa Screens and Aluminum. Support the local economy, supporting the Consumer Quarterback Show. Coming up, Doug Clark, Hours Creole. He's the chef. He's the owner, and he's getting it done out there. They got a new smoker installed over there as well. I got to stop by and check that out, have some of the awesome food on that menu. Delicious food. Wonderful ambiance right there in Tarpon. We're going to talk with our restaurant partner, Doug Clark, coming up here on the Consumer Quarterback Show, ConsumerQB.com.
Hey, this is Grant Cardone, and you're listening to Consumer Quarterback Show, hosted by my friend Brandon Rimes. Do not touch that dial. I'll come right through the radio and grab your throat.
To get in touch with Brandon, call 813-917-1894. Online at ConsumerQB.com.
of long lines at the airport? Check out Tampa Bay's premier private jet source. I'm Brandon Rimes for Will Smith Aviation, aircraft management, acquisition and sales, luxury jet escapes, and packages. Check them out online, willsmithaviation.com. That's willsmithaviation.com, or call the show. I'll put you right in touch directly with Captain Will Smith. AmericaFirstPatriotStore.com for all of your non-woke, American-made products. American values, Christian, conservative American values. Say hello to my business partner, Jim McCune, at AmericaFirstPatriotStore.com. David Reynolds Jewelry and Coin.com. Say hello to Shane Socash, longtime friend of the Consumer Quarterback Show, 4009 Central Avenue, St. Petersburg, online at davidreynoldsjewelryandcoin.com for all of your precious metals and jewelry design. David Reynolds Jewelry and Coin.com. Hey, Brandon Rimes here for Jason Coble, owner of Coble Law. Coble Law has been handling injury cases in Tampa for the past 14 years and has a specialized approach focused on limiting client cost and maximizing client profit. TampaWorkCompLaw.com, TampaWorkCompLaw.com. Jason Coble, longtime friend of the Consumer Quarterback Show, personal injury law, and work comp law. Hey, Brandon Rimes here for our friends at TargetSurveying.net for all of your surveying needs. Land surveying firm providing services for real estate since 1992, and they are statewide. Check them out online, TargetSurveying.net. That's TargetSurveying.net. Selling commercial, vacant land, or residential properties? Don't leave money on the table.
All right, Brandon, I got Doug on the line.
Keller Williams Realty. I'm Brandon Rimes. You can reach me at 813-917-1894. Call or text 813-917-1894.
Do you still want me to keep the guest mic off?
ConsumerQB.com.
Okay.
That's ConsumerQB, like quarterback.com. Buying, selling, investing, or refinancing, we would love to talk to you. Thank you so much and have a blessed day.
You're listening to the Consumer Quarterback, Brandon Rimes, cutting through your typical media nonsense and offering you a rational and unbiased perspective on current events and life in Tampa Bay. Online at ConsumerQB.com.
All right, we're coming in, closing out the show here with Doug Clark, Hours Creole. He's the owner, he's the chef. We're going to talk with him. He got some upgrades to the kitchen there and got a new smoker back there, I believe. We're going to talk with him here coming up just a moment. We always feature our listings on air. It's 1210 Paradise Lake Drive. We got a hot listing here. It's Tampa Bay. I love this area. You're close to Lake Tarpon at 1210 Paradise Lake Drive. Tarpon Springs, Florida, 4-bedroom, 3-bath, 2-car garage. You got a private pool, fireplace, lighter color kitchen cabinetry, a screened-in lanai that has a pool and spa package there, split floor plan, and handicap accessible. 1210 Paradise Lake Drive, Tarpon Springs. You can see all of our listings at PlatinumMVPTeam.kw.com, and you can see all of our radio show and TV show expert contributors at ConsumerQB.com.
This is God's country.
All right, Doug Clark, Hours Creole, welcome back, sir.
Hey, brother, how we doing? Great to be back. Love it. Love being on the show. Love hearing everything. I like hearing my voice, too. Not really.
Hey, that's what your staff told me last time, too. Hey, you got a smoker now. You got an upgraded smoker. Tell me about that.
We did. So, yep, we, put some money into the building here. Our old smoker here, they went out of business. We got it. So it's a nice old hickory pit, coming from Missouri. It's custom made, fits right inside our building here. Man, it's just it's a rotisserie wood burner. So I mean, we use cherry wood and we use oak, and man, we can fit about 60 briskets. We're smoking chicken, ribs. I mean, whatever we can put our hands on, we're putting on that smoker. We utilize it for not just smoking and barbecuing, but we utilize it as a rotisserie wood burning oven. So imagine you're camping and you want to just you're using wood, you're using fire. So that's what we're kind of using it as. It's our rotisserie oven that just happens to burn wood.
Yes, that wood flavor.
It's a great. It's awesome. We love this thing. It's great. You put it on and. Yeah, it's just, you can do so much with it instead of just, we're not just doing ribs, we're not just doing brisket, we do all that stuff, but, we smoke a whole alligator, we'll smoke alligator tenders, we do smoked hogfish, we'll get some beautiful hogfish here locally. from a guy that spears them, and we'll brine those guys overnight, pop them on the smoker, and we'll serve whole hogs. They're small, medium, and large, depending on the size when they're in the store here. Mangrove snapper. We're gonna do some grunts and grits tomorrow. Guy called me today. Said, "Hey, came across some grunts." I said, "Man, that's a Florida staple. Grits and grunts, man. Let's do it. We'll smoke them, and then we'll drop them in a cast iron pot, for service, and fry them up so they get nice and crispy.
Yeah.
And we'll serve some grits some grits, and some fried pepper jelly that we make here. The grits are people beat down on grits, but. Man, I tell you what, you put some tasso in here. We cure our pork butts, bone-in pork butts. We cure it for about 36 hours. So we pull it off, rinse it, and let it sit for at least 8 hours. And this is made famous down in New Orleans. Paul Perdome, they call it pickled pork, but we call it tasso. It's basically a cured ham, and that goes in our jambalaya, our gumbos, and our all the kinds of stews. I got a smoked pork stew with black-eyed peas going right now. So, yeah, there's some good stuff going on here.
I love that, man. And talk a little bit about the inspiration, too, the New Orleans flavor, right, from your mom's menu.
Yeah, so my mom was a chef. When I graduated college at Michigan State, I'm a Spartan dog. We bleed green, even though I live down here in Florida, But, when I graduated college, I was working with her for years, and she told me, she says, "What are you going to do?" She's like, you're either going to move to Chicago or you're going to move to New Orleans. So, I just packed my bag and I took the Amtrak from St. Joe, Michigan to Chicago downtown. And I took it from Chicago downtown to New Orleans, got picked up down in Covington, just north of Louisiana, New Orleans, and went there and dug my roots and stuck around there for a while until Mom got cancer and then came back with, in Michigan, helped her with the restaurant. And then Sanibel Harbor came down here. So, but everywhere we go, we implement that, the New Orleans flavors, any part of the country, United States, anywhere else, there's so many different cultures that have touched that city. It's not just, that biased opinion of it being hot, being, spicy, there's different flavors, there's profiles, there's techniques, the French, the German, Spanish influences, it's all touched that city. And that's what makes it so cool. It's such a mecca of the world, especially in the culinary industry, and really, just different heritage and cultures in general. So it's a beautiful city.
Yeah, we're talking with Doug Clark, Ours Creole restaurant right here in beautiful Tampa Bay. They are located on Tarpon Avenue in Tarpon Springs. Great opportunity to get out and try some of that Florida flavor, that New Orleans flavor. They're 310 East Tarpon Avenue, Tarpon Springs. Longtime friend of the Consumer Quarterback Show. Excellent food. You got a wonderful ambiance there. Very friendly wait staff, man. You got great staff there. Very, very, nice people. And you got live entertainment on certain days of the week, right?
We do. Most every weekend, the blues, we'll have the jazz fools here on First Friday, First Friday in Tarpon Springs, it's jamming down here. If anybody's never been here, all those listeners out there, come check us out on First Friday. It's a great little time to check out the city, see what we have to offer here. We're built on sponge docks here, the sponge city, but, we're blowing up here in, Tarpon Springs here. It's just a nice little cool historic city. Check out all the historic houses around here. Our house just happens to be historic, so we're on the historic trail. It's a restaurant, but it was originally a house, which was the lure, that brought us into, that corner lot, in New Orleans, a lot of corner lot houses were able to be turned into restaurants, in that area, which is why there's so many, which is another story. But yeah, live entertainment, blues, deep South blues, Chicago blues, 6-piece jazz, on bands. The first Sunday we got the jazz fools out here. They'll be jamming it out, some trombones and, hitting it up. If anybody that's looking for some cool jazz, check out Trombone Shorty out there from New Orleans. That's our guy.
Nice. Yeah, I love it. The oysters are great. There's so much. There's something on the menu for everyone. You got different options. If someone wants to take a little bit more of a basic option, vegetarian type option. Doug Clark, Ours Creole. Thanks for calling in, buddy. Appreciate you.
All right, thanks, brother. Have a good one. Stay good out there, everybody. Let's go.
All right. Yeah, go check him out. 310 East Tarpon Avenue, Tarpon Springs, Florida. Doug Clark, longtime friend of the show. We had Mark Haye talking about proper estate planning. Fred Muth, Tampa Screens and Aluminum. And Florida Doge at it again, over $1 billion now. So So I'm happy to see that. All right, keep up the good work out there, everybody. Please go out there and consider committing a random act of kindness. We'll see you next time. Consumer Quarterback Show, consumerqb.com.
You've been listening to The Consumer Quarterback, Brandon Rimes. Whether it's real estate, consumer, or financial advice, let Brandon call your next play. Call Brandon Rimes at 813-917-1894. That's 813-917-1894. Online at consumerqb.com. And join us next time for the Consumer Quarterback Show.